and every one of us has a deep inner yearning that when we listen to it, it draws out of us and reveals something true and whole about who we really are. Even those of us who sabotage our own happiness do so in the name of striving for that happiness. The artist Aliza Weller, my cousin, illustrates this beautifully with a series inspired by her mother and the generations of our family. Our ancestors strove for happiness, and they strove to create material remnants of this happiness to pass down through the generations. But happiness is immaterial. The stuff we accumulate weighs on us, becomes our baggage and the heavy weight on our backs. Today, I want to talk about the difference between ambition and aspiration. One of them drives us closer toward happiness, and the other pushes it away. When I was in my 20s, I was really driven by ambition. To me, ambition meant being a superwoman, smart, intelligent, beautiful, successful. I wanted to be everything to everybody. I realized I was running towards something that was not making me happy. And the faster I ran, the further away from that thing I got. I ran until I got a phone call from my mother who said, "Aliza, please come home. I need to tell you something." My little sister Leah and I sat holding hands under the table, and we squeezed our hands while our mother told us, "I'm so sorry. I have breast cancer, and it's in my lymph nodes, and it could spread to my organs." And we promised her, "Mom, we will get through this together." I left my ambitious life and I stepped into a world of caring for my mother and helping my family care for her through her chemotherapy and her radiation. We tried to take and find the joy in every single moment that we could find. On her good days, she would put her arm through mine, and we would walk along the beach, or we'd walk through the woods, and we would seek out any joyful moment that we could. We used to play this game that we would be walking down the trail, and we'd see the bough of a tree arching over the trail, and we would pretend that we were in a magical forest, and this was a magic gate, and as we would duck under it together, we'd look at each other gleefully and say, "Bring!" And we would laugh together like children. My mother said, "Please don't waste a single minute of your life. It's so short and so precious." So when I went back to my ambitious life, nothing made sense to me in the same way that it had before. My mother said, "Follow your heart, and life will provide." So I've spent the last 7 years of my life living an experiment to find out what that means. The first experiment was to go into maximum security men's prisons, where I taught yoga and meditation. It took a lot of courage to sit in silence with these men in a room where they had been kept and prepared. And they were so shy, these men. Imagine that you're sitting in a circle with your backs to one another and you can't see each other. You're facing the wall so you can concentrate on meditation. And you've been told by society that you should be afraid because these are men who everybody says are dangerous and possibly violent. Now imagine that you're one of those men and you're sitting in a circle and you have your back to all the other men and you're trying to concentrate on clearing your mind. But all you can think about is that you can't see the other men. And society has told you that these are men that you should fear. One guy in particular came to the classes. He was very closed. as if he was trying to make himself smaller. But he loved yoga. He would do this funny thing to make light in the classroom. He would breathe in sun salutations. He'd say, "Aspiration," and all the men would burst out laughing because it was so funny. After a few weeks, he came to me and he said, "When I first came to this class, I hated it. But I've grown to feel safe here, and I have never felt safe in my entire life." This had a profound impact on me because I realized that I myself had not felt safe in a long time. That part of me that didn't feel safe was the same part of me that felt I needed to prove myself, that was running after this ambitious life. And these men did not need my ambition. They didn't need me to be that superwoman. They needed me to be real with them. And so I took what that man had said. He said, "Aspiration." And I looked more closely at how I could incorporate that into my life. I found that aspiration comes from the root word to breathe. It is the heart of what you do every minute. It is the heart of who you are. And I found in contrast that ambition comes from the root word to solicit votes. And so I took a deep breath and I looked inside of my own aspiration and I took a leap of faith and I followed my heart all the way to the Canadian Arctic Circle, where I had a dream of trying to solve climate change and working on environmental issues. I lived in a tiny Canadian Arctic community called Cambridge Bay, which is minus 60 degrees in the winter, and the ocean is frozen 9 months of the year. And there's 1,400 people in this town, and Google Earth just went there for the first time last summer. And it was dark 6 weeks in the winter, which could be very depressing. And so I looked to the Inuit community around me to discover ways to find more joyfulness in the darkness. And I found that they had a beautiful worldview called Kauyimayatukangi. Kauyimayatukangi has no translation in the English language, but the essence of Kauyimayatukangi is this is the way things are. And the way things are is that each and every one of us is interrelated. All humans, all animals, all of life is vastly interrelated in a web of life, and we each have an impact on each other. We are simultaneously very ordinary and simultaneously uniquely beautiful. And Inuit have a belief in this worldview called Ayagnamat. And the spirit of Ayagnamat means don't sweat the small stuff. Ayagnamat means there is no point in worrying about what you can't change. And because we are so interwoven with nature, we also can't change the core of who we are. Just like you can't change the blizzard that rolls through tomorrow. You can't change who you are. And so you have to have compassion and accept who you are. And then take who you are in aspiration and playfulness and share that with the world. And so I learned how to be more playful. I took the spirit of my playfulness, and when it was time for me to go back down south, I brought it on the road. And I connected with like-minded people all over the world. And together, we have gone on cross-country bike trips in the name of random acts of kindness to share our aspiration and our playful spirit. And we've biked over 1,000 miles all over the world, spontaneously helping complete strangers for no reason. Other than that it makes us feel good. It makes us feel good. One woman on these trips invited us to come and help her family rebuild their home after a natural disaster. We would get tons of invitations to help people. We helped a nurse and a teacher and their family in Ireland, and one woman exclaimed to us, "I always knew there were people like you in the world, but I never thought I would actually meet one." We shared our true selves, and we learned how to be content with who we really are and stop striving with ambition to attain some version of ourselves that society says we need to attain. And from this place of contentment could spring forth our aspiration, just like my yoga student said. And we took the spirit of playfulness, that Inuit, ajarnamat, and shared it with the world. We can waste so much time and so much energy trying to prove ourselves, trying to be something we're not. But when we can authentically realize and discover and reveal our true selves and have authentic connections with one another, we can find a truer way of encountering life. My mother has now been in remission for over 6 years. And I am so grateful for everything she has taught me and continues to share with me. When I had to face my mother's mortality, I was forced to face my own mortality and make a truer assessment of my life, who I want to be in the world and the impact I want to have. And my aspiration is to be a real person and to encounter others who also want to be real with me. Thank you.